Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for May 3rd, 2024. I'm Benji Fisher, sharing my screen and moderating. And also present today are Marcus, Heinila. I hope that's reasonably close.
Close
Matthew.
enough. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Offer Schall, Ralph Kohler, Simo Helston, and Scott. So we thought we'd have a look at this meta issue that we've talked about before, but not recently. It's issue 286-041 and 9. The appearance page is too long and confusing. And let's just have a look at the introduction at the top. The current state of the appearance page has a rather high cognitive load for processing the contained information, as well as for performing any configuration task. And then there are some screenshots and some description of the main problems. Let's just look at it in a live site, the appearance page. So we have breadcrumbs, title, tabs, or local actions, warning messages, just because I haven't run cron. Set and configure the default theme for your website. Alternative themes are available. You can place blocks for each theme on the block layout page. And then there's a button to add a new theme, list of the installed themes. There can be more than two. I think they're shown two across. And then uninstalled themes. I guess my local site has all of the test themes used in automated tests available. So you see a lot of things here, and they're shown 4 across. Most sites won't be quite that overwhelming. And then at the bottom, there's a section to select the administration theme and an option to use that theme when editing or creating content. So this is long and confusing. Again, this particular one is more long than typical. Where should we start?
Sorry, Matthew speaking. I was as created the issue. I thought maybe I tried to remember and explain. So I thought it was an easy fix actually at the time. I was just thinking, centralizing, grouping everything under a collapsing field set for the theme. I thought that was the suggestion on the issue. And I haven't had a look at that issue for a very long time, so I'm not sure where we are right now. But that was a suggestion, if I remember well.
So let's see. Yeah, you were the one who created, and perhaps this issue got hijacked and scope changed. And
yeah,
if that's the case, then maybe the simplest way to move forward is to create a child issue that has just the original change that you suggested. And given the fact that there hasn't been a lot of progress on this in quite a while, if we do want to make progress, one strategy is to make small steps. So that might work well. Ralph, go ahead.
Yeah, the issue back then was discussed in one of the usability meetings, and therefore we branched out. If you scroll a little bit further down, please, then you see the original report by Mathieu. The original part I am left in, and the problem back then, as far as I remember, was that at least one or two of the issues needed designs, and yeah, that label is still on, and that was one of the points that stalled the issue. And on the other hand, during the move of the block parts, there was also the discussion to move, I think, appearance, no, or the block layout under appearance or something like that. And in that regard, we had also more ideas in regards of moving the part of the what you're currently showing, the administration theme field set to a separate tab, and to restructure everything even further than those child issues we've created back then.
Right. So we've certainly discussed whether appearance should be a top level item in the administration menu. There, whoops, I didn't mean to click that, which is one of the problems. I accidentally illustrated one of the problems, which is that there are some things on this page that have an immediate action, and other things where it's a form and nothing happens until you save the configuration at the bottom. So let's see, what exactly did I do? I enabled Twig registry loader test theme as the default theme. Let's see if we can undo that. Yes, set umami as the default. There, that's a little better. Yeah, so one problem is that it's sort of a hybrid form, and this is one of Aaron's favorite themes, that a form shouldn't try to do too much, and this does too much, and perhaps it should be split up into separate pages. Another thing is where it appears on the administration menu, and I think one popular suggestion was to make the block layout page the first, or sort of the parent page of appearance. The theory being that you visit block layout much more frequently than you visit the appearance page. Right? Typically, when you're setting up the site, you choose what the default theme is, and you never go there again. So why should it be a top level item on the admin menu? But just trying to, those are all related things we have talked about. But getting back to just what the current page is and what small steps we can take to improve it. Do we have to wait for design, or could we simply put the list of installed themes in a details element open by default, put the list of uninstalled themes in a field set closed by default, and then you wouldn't have to scroll quite so much to get to this section at the bottom? Would that small step be an improvement over the current state of affairs? Would it block the grander ideas that people have? Go ahead, Simo.
Yeah, there's also a third thing that wouldn't be solved by that, is that if the file system has, say, 10 different themes, and then how to easily find out if if a single theme is installed or not. So it could be also having them all in a list and nice indicators on which are like alphabetical list of all, and then having nice indicators on which are installed or which are not. So there's also other options.
So for comparison, let's just look at the media library. You have the option to show all your media in a list, and you also have the option to show them in a grid. And so a similar idea here would be to give you the option to show these grid displays or an alphabetical list display. That's more or less what you have in mind, right?
Yeah, and if we talk on views terms, so instead of having a grouped list of items, to having filtered list. So not grouped by the state of being installed or not, but having a filter for that. So that's one thing, so that it wouldn't be a list of installed and list of not installed, but a list where you can filter.
Right. So
Yeah,
just
Mm.
same ideas here. The list view has various filter options and possibly sorting options. Scott, go ahead.
The base theme, just to say sort all of the themes by alphabetical, then a user has no association if there's a base theme, and if there's a chain of base themes or sub themes, that should be grouped that way. And if they're enabled properly that way, that would be important on this page too.
Right. I don't know, is
Base.
Claro a base theme, or does it depend on classy or something?
Well, everything in core is Stark theme. All core themes are Stark. But let's go into Bootstrap themes. What if a site also has Bootstrap themes installed, right?
Right. And there's no indication of that here, is there?
No.
And I think that if you
Or
had
if there's a
list
starter
view,
kit. Or if it's a starter kit theme, I guess is the same, similar.
I think if you had a list view, you could consider adding a column to show the parent of the theme. I don't know, you might want to sort or filter, but as a first step, just to show the information of what the inheritance is.
In regards of the inheritance, just to chime in, that is already covered in one of the child issues. I guess if I remember correctly, it's the one about the card, redesign the cards for the appearance page. That was, I think, the issue that needs design. The idea was basically to add some sort of chips, and in case there is a base theme or it's a child theme of
Yeah, for the sake of the
another one.
recording, this is issue 3249374. And just opening this screenshot, enlarging it.
That's the current state. I created a mock-up in, if you scroll further down. Yeah, there. It's a rough mock-up just to illustrate the idea behind.
So Gin requires Claro.
And you see basically with the chip that it's a sub-theme in that case, or which theme is experimental and which theme depends to core, and so forth. That you have direct visual cues was the idea. And making basically also the title clearer at the moment. If you take a look at it, you have a lengthy basically title with containing the version number and default theme, so it's basically packed. So from a readability standpoint, it's hard to process. And yeah, the idea was to untwine that a little bit. And I might have just one question to Simo's point. How usual is it that a site has, let's say, 10 installed themes or uninstalled themes in the file system? Is it a usual case? Because ideally the number should be low.
Yeah, it's not really. I think it's not common. It's probably, if there is, it's a bad architecture. So having this kind of a multi-site site that's not like site that is not really multi-site. So there could be some kind of that kind of ways of doing it. So, or having different themes for different kinds of content, but that usually it doesn't make sense.
I have a lot of projects that have multi-themes and have different sections of sites which switch themes. A lot of projects I work on have that.
There's also the theme switcher module, which the theme switcher rules. Anyway, I think there's a contrib module that lets users decide what theme they want. So it's not common, but it is possible, and I guess Scott actually uses that. But you don't give users the option. You just use different themes on different sections of the site.
Business requirements, different business requirements for companies.
Yep.
Certainly, this is a common enough thing in my experience.
Okay.
So again, usually not this many, all of the test themes, but there are cases where you have more than one, or yeah, a casual user is experimenting with their own blog site, and they've tried out 10 different themes and never bothered to clean them up. Arguably, the solution is to clean them up, but we don't want to dictate that. I'm always frustrated when an issue gets the needs design tag, because I'm not a designer. How do we move this issue forward? How do we convince someone to do the design? Who can approve the design?
May I say over
Yeah.
just sort of my own experience over the last little while, over the last month or two, I've learned that sometimes we need to be bolder to take the role and move it forward. Right. So don't be afraid to necessarily go into the issue and become part of the owner of the issue. Remove a tag, state why you're removing a tag, that there are designs, state, I think in general, to move this forward, I like the idea of the collapsed sections. Make a sub ticket for that, do that ticket. See if we can get, see if you can get a small ticket in and through in a variety of circles as well. And that can help get a piece of this together and moving forward without tackling all of the issues. This is definitely a plan issue. This is a plan issue, but we need, you can start acting out on the sub-plan items. That's definitely the key thing, right?
So the meta issue is the one you mean is the plan issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a plan.
Yes.
So make a specific child issue, if there isn't now, to add the details on and move forward with it. Because in that, like, the amount of work to do that to this part of the interface isn't a huge lift. So do the little piece of work now. That's what I've learned.
Right. And that's what I was trying to get at when I talked about small steps earlier in the call.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, Ralph, you put a link. Another easy win might be this child issue, which is 3249370. Move the active default and admin theme to a new section on top of the appearance page. And this also has the needs design tag on it. I suppose what you could also leave the tag there, don't remove it, but go ahead and implement it and try to get some feedback.
It's already in part implemented back then. If you scroll down a little bit, that's the again. Scroll up again, please, to the screenshot, the second one. Yeah, that way it's already implemented. So just adding a section, but yeah.
So default theme and then admin theme, then installed themes and uninstalled themes.
That way it would be clearer what the active themes are actually.
I'm not sure how that would work on one of Scott's sites where different sections have different themes. I guess there's still one default theme there.
Yes.
And all the others are installed and enabled on various things, so they would show up in the second section.
So this use case is certain roles are logged in. They just see a different theme within a section of the site. Different menu groups of pages all fall under separate themes for some subsections of that same site. So there's there's actually to say that's 4 themes that are actually used for another purpose in that project, but that's sort of a very common use case for more
Okay.
complex sites, right?
Yeah, and Matthew says in the chat, I'd be happy to take this on me. A new child, easy to implement, details / collapsible field set. Yeah, I know it's frustrating that the issue you created got greatly expanded in scope and turned into a meta issue. But yeah, if you're willing to create a child issue with the original idea, you know, maybe we'll get some more attention to this and make that step and then make further progress, as Scott says. Once people are paying attention to it again, we might make progress. What is the issue I was just looking at? So it's this one, right? No. Let's close these screenshots. So this issue that Ralph brought up to move the default and admin themes to the top. Why is that marked needs work? Let's scroll up from the bottom and see what so you, Ralph, are the one who marked it as needs work. Would it make sense, aside making the default and admin theme prominently visible on top of the installed theme section, to highlight the default and admin theme by underlaying each with a colored rectangle with rounded edges? Also +1 for suggestion 4 and number 12.
2 years ago.
I'm setting the issue back to needs work because a design review and design work has to be done first. Point number 12 has to be agreed on, and the differing height issue. So what was comment 12? Whoops. That was one from Aaron. And that was the result of the last time we reviewed this issue in the usability meeting in 2021. Whoops, didn't mean to click on that. I am usually not so careless about clicking. So again, when an issue is marked needs design and you're not a designer, you can go ahead and implement something and try to get feedback. I wonder if there's a current patch or merge request. If the last comment was in 2022, there's probably not a merge request. The latest patch is from Drupal 9.5 and comment number 20. So yeah, if someone wants to continue working on this, convert the patch to a merge request, it'll probably need some updating. And think about the options that were brought up here, choose one, implement it, see whether people like it.
One of the sub issues could be adding that information about experimental and deprecated themes, because that's something that's already done with modules, and there is actually an issue I was looking at last week about displaying those deprecated statuses for modules.
So let's see, I think here the experimental modules are in a separate section.
But deprecated or not, I think there should be one deprecated module.
Yeah, look at
somewhere.
what's in the core folder, normal, regular core folder. Because you're in 11 right now.
Right.
Aren't the deprecations all gone now?
I think they are all gone.
I think last week, I think there was one module.
Oh, there's one.
Yeah, that one. And as you can see, actually, that doesn't have that warning mark. That's part of the system module CSS, but there is actually a issue that is trying to get that to Claro using that same warning icon there. Actually, the issue was opened as a follow-up issue by Benji in, I think, 2021. But yeah, so there are styles for doing that. So something similar in adding something similar inside the current cards for themes, deprecated and experimental.
So class module list dash module name, table filter, text source.
But actually, because Cloud doesn't include that system module CSS file, so that's why it doesn't show the same icon, say, stock does.
Those are Stark theme overrides probably in the theme in Claro.
Yeah, I think Claro, besides not including the CSS, doesn't seem to include the HTML class that would be targeted by that CSS rule. Right, I don't see any. Oh, here, class equals module link non-stable. So it does have a class. It's inside the anchor link. Okay, so this link has a CSS class, but it's missing the CSS to target it. Okay.
But there is style that's used here, either with icon or not with icon, depending on theme. So this kind of similar could be used for themes as well. So just adding that same approach for the theme cards, and then we could have at least the information there, and the style could be changed later, or as the issue goes along.
And again, you would want to mark which themes?
Deprecated themes and experimental themes.
Okay.
They were in one of the, was it Ralph's mockups? But we could use this style. So then it wouldn't really need so much design if you just add the same styles. We could say it's using existing design.
If you scroll down here further. Yeah, that one.
Right. So if we want these sort of pills to indicate experimental or deprecated, that would have to be part of this issue, and it requires design. If we want to add that same information without doing this, then we could do something similar to this deprecated link.
Because I could call that existing design.
Right. So is that already part of any of these issues, or do you want to create a another child issue to do that and mark it as related to the redesign the cards issue?
Yeah, it could be a new child issue, so that it could be kind of a nice and compact.
Okay. So would you like to do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. Scott, go ahead.
Just one last point to bring up is that themes also have module dependencies, and none of that module dependency isn't actually being shown in any of these mockups.
And that falls under the same general header of information.
Design the card.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe a comment on the meta issue is appropriate because there are a few issues that address this. And so there's the experimental or deprecated status, inheritance, and whether it depends on modules. All of those are information that we don't display.
Modules are displaying. We're just not seeing, none of these themes have module dependency on them. That's all. That's why.
Oh, but if I were to install the Bootstrap theme or something, does that have a module dependency?
I think it does, yeah. I think it has the Bootstrap library.
Let's see, I can probably do that. Oh, only if the Bootstrap theme is has declared compatibility with Drupal 11. Let's give it a try. Is it just Bootstrap?
Bootstrap 5, probably the current for Bootstrap. Bootstrap 3 is probably too far behind.
Yeah, it looks like neither of those has declared compatibility with Drupal 11, so I can't install it quickly. I'd have to install a new version of Drupal. Oh well. Yeah, 9.5 or 10, and Bootstrap 5, 9.4 or 10. Suppose I could try to install the dev version.
Version is from the same day. Release-wise.
Could not find package Drupal /bootstrap 5 at dev. Nope. Okay, so getting back to meta issue. Any other child issues people would like to talk about? Any go ahead, Ralph.
One detail I remember about the details element suggestion is, as you've mentioned, Benji, before today, the scenario of, for example, make the install section expanded per default and the uninstall section collapsed per default to scroll down faster. That is something we've discussed back then, and point is, for installing a theme, then you have always an extra click and you have to expand basically that section. And I think that was the reason why we've argued back then against the collapsible and expandable option on that page. Because you never know what someone is doing, and therefore it could be include an extra click that way.
On the other hand, until we have a more comprehensive solution for the fact that this page does too much, it would decrease the chance of accidental clicks like the one I made. So, I think that there are considerations both way. And Scott has given us screenshot. Is there any way I can open this up in my browser so that it's visible in the recording?
I can drop it in Slack too.
Or if you gave a link rather than uploading a screenshot to the chat. But it is a screenshot showing, I suppose I could just save it and then open it in the browser.
There's quite a few modules.
I don't want to talk about that right now. One thing at a time.
Yes. That one
This
is
is going to become a profile or a recipe soon. Let's talk about that later.
there we go. So where's the indication that it depends on a module?
The requires line at the bottom there requires block class, color, comment, commerce, commerce log, commerce promotion.
Okay, it's a screenshot, so I can't highlight it. Okay, and this is, this is the default appearance page for this theme. Okay. So that information is there. Okay, Ralph, what did you want to say?
No, it was just a note to myself, because in the redesign the card example, the idea was basically just to add a chip, and I wasn't aware that there could be that many modules required by a theme. And that way, yeah, that changes basically, at least in the context of required modules, how the information might be communicated.
Right, you wouldn't want to add 5 chips.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be excessive.
This theme is an extreme, and for that reason, yeah, for sure.
Definitely a good thing to see such an extreme case.
Okay, so actually, instead of looking at the comments that are already on the meta issue, we already have some things we've agreed to add. let's just look at the page and what are the problems here, and what is the biggest usability problem of this page?
I'm not sure what my current theme is. I can't find where the admin is, and there's all these themes in between. I know we're looking at the test themes, but it is a clutter.
I think for me, the biggest problem is that setting a default theme and setting admin theme is totally different.
Okay. So the way to choose a default theme is to click on the link. And that happens immediately as we noticed. Whereas setting the admin theme is choosing something from a list and submitting the form.
I've posted a link in the chat. That is another child issue.
Okay, so this one is 3249379. Make all form submissions on the appearance page consistent. Right, and that's something I've referred to earlier, that that the form does too much, and it has these links that have an immediate effect, and then there's the submit button at the bottom of the form, which I guess only chooses the admin theme.
Yep.
So do we have a proposed resolution on this
Yep.
issue? Would it make sense and be technically possible in the first place to remove the form at the bottom of the page and move the checkbox, use administration when editing or creating content, move that checkbox up to the active admin theme section? See the screenshot. Process previously triggered clicking the Save Configuration button might now be run every time an install, set as default, set as admin, set as default and admin, etc. What one of those buttons is clicked, or if the state of the checkbox is changed underneath the admin theme card. That way there wouldn't be a mix of a form and direct action buttons. The necessity of a form submission would be obsolete. So I guess the screenshot also uses your redesigned cards, and each card would have the set as default, which now becomes a drop button, and you can set it as the default, set as the admin, set as both. So that's one solution for what Simo called out as the biggest problem, that it's inconsistent how you select the default theme and how you select the admin theme. This would certainly make them consistent. And then
I kind of don't like that many kind of functionalities on those cards, but it does reduce the risk of somebody using kind of a single form for selecting and confusing the theme names. So here, if you have proper screenshots, it's like you do the setting like so that you know what like you have a reference to. Yeah, this is the correct 7. If you maybe confuse 7 and Claro, so you could just see the from the screenshots. Oh, this that, or kind of that kind of. You have the reference when you do the action. If you have a form either at the top or at the end, then you don't have that reference of which theme you are taking action on.
All right, go ahead, Scott.
I don't like that we're getting rid of the form submission completely. People click on things and it becomes active, and then it switches the main theme immediately. So if they're, it's the same thing that they're clicking around in a site, in their live site, they're just changing the site instantly. I almost still think that input like checkboxes for this is active, this is the base, and this is the admin still makes more sense, because then it gives somebody the time to look at the entire page of things that are on it and make sure that's the thing they want before they trigger it.
So you want to go in the other direction. So we currently have a mix of form submission and immediate action links. You're suggesting get rid of the immediate action links, right?
Yeah. Because format and min, and this is currently missing is set and min content as node edit. That's now missing.
That's in
It's
this
right there,
checkbox
sorry.
over here.
So then one thing appears at the bottom of everything else, and then you'd have to notice that that's there.
No, it only appears once under the enabled admin theme.
Okay, okay. Field set wrapper would look better for the 3 sections still. Like the top section doesn't have that distinction that it's the panel, maybe like a panel preview to pull it together separate more, that this is these are the 2 active things. So that would be more design.
Yeah, that's the suggestion I've raised in the which issue was move the active defaulted admin theme to a new section in comment number 25 with a bit of distance with the by underlaying each with a colored rectangle with rounded edges that goes into design.
Which issue are you talking about?
The issue 324937. 1 second, I paste the link again. Post it in the chat.
370.
The design doesn't make sense, because if you're setting node forms to be that sent you then a checkbox, so you have to submit that someplace.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I was
The active admin at the top had the checkbox below it. Where do you submit that checkbox?
It should be toggle if it's located in that kind of place. So a toggle could work.
A button, that should be a button. That should be a HTML button to let somebody know that they're actually triggering something else. If we're getting rid of form elements, we shouldn't have any form elements on this.
Yeah, totally fine with it. It's just a mock-up to illustrate basically moving things around.
okay. So I guess we first have to decide what direction we want to move in. Do we want to move into proper form submissions and make the whole page consistent as a form? Or do we want to move in the opposite direction and make everything immediate?
I think what we
I'm sorry, you're cutting out, Simo.
Yeah, I think what we want is to do user test on which one is better, but that would take a bit of effort. So we might choose second best option. But this is something that could really benefit from user testing.
Okay. So I confess I don't like that answer because I don't do user testing. That means I have to wait for someone to come up with a user group to test it on. Of course,
Good.
what's that?
You have to have a way to, you have to have the code in line to actually have users test it to validate
Yes.
that we use it. Not just design A/B testing.
Right. You have to implement something and then you have to organize a test. So, you know, it's not an easy answer, but maybe the answer is that we have to implement both. And then we have to let people try it out and either, encourage people at our local Drupal meetups to try it out or have some sort of more formal user testing setup. So do we have to implement both in order to get user testing going? Go ahead, Ralph.
Just one thought in regards of if users accidentally change a theme, they could directly change it back, basically. And at the moment, they're already able to change basically the default theme in a second without any confirmation. And in case the admin theme changes, then the user would also be even easier be able to quickly change it back. So I'm not sure if it's that bad to have a direct feedback. Maybe even I might consider it even beneficial from a comprehension standpoint.
So right, when I accidentally enabled this test theme as the default,
That you don't see. That goes unnoticed.
it's funny, the status message says something about Claro. It does not directly say you just enabled Twig Registry Loader test theme as the default. That's a pretty awful status message.
No, it's a very strange message. I don't understand what this message actually means.
So what it means is you just enabled this theme as the default theme. But the admin theme is still enabled. And changing the default theme isn't going to affect what you see on the admin portion of the site. That's what it's saying. It's just saying the two things in the reverse order of what it should be saying. That's a quick fix.
I've been recently reminded on another piece of work that one of the problems with these instant clicks is that this has a large effect on caching and the system. This is the rest of the application running. Users should have noticed that that will affect front end and caching when they're enabling and disabling things and switching them like this.
And that's an argument in favor of going to a proper form, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ralph.
No. I just said, yeah, good point.
And just for kicks, having enabled this test theme, what does it look like? It's not so bad. I guess because it's an image heavy site. Yeah, it's a lot like Stark. Okay, we are just about at the end of the hour. I think Mathieu already offered to create an issue for what this meta issue started off as. Aaron just joined us. Hi, Aaron. And are we actually going to make an effort to work on this particular child issue. I think it's this one. Make all form submissions on the appearance page consistent. Do we think that's the most important thing to move forward? Does that break the strategy of making progress with small steps?
I think the grouping of them might be that first step better.
Okay, and Matthew has already said he'll create that child issue. So we can do that, and then as the next step, does this seem like a good next step after that? Or is this trying to do too much at once? And reanimate number.
We move the active default and admin theme to a new section on top.
This one, right?
Yeah. That is, there's already a patch, and it might be easier to get somewhere.
Okay. So yes, this is what open source software is like. We don't all have to agree on the next step, but have some idea of what the next step should be, and anyone who wants to take on one of these, we'll support you. Okay, thanks all for coming. I'll be at DrupalCon next week, and I guess I will. Oh yes, I'll be home. That's right. DrupalCon ends on Thursday, so I will be home and terribly jet lagged after a red-eye flight, but I'll still try to run the meeting in a week. See you then.
Have fun. Take it easy.
Thank
Everyone.
you.
Aaron.
Nice weekend.
Yeah, have a nice weekend.